That moment, it kind of just broke my heart, and it kind of left some type of void. My whole career, I felt like it left some type of void.
Nicole Wray, born May 2nd, 1979. I've always felt like Nicole Wray's career tells a quieter story than most people remember. She had the look, the voice, the cosigns, and real momentum coming out the early 2000s, especially with Missy Elliott in her corner. For a moment, everything looked aligned, but instead of building upward, her path stalled in ways that never quite made sense from a talent standpoint. This isn't a story about falling off or not working hard enough. It's about timing, industry patience, and how quickly the machine moves on, even when the potential is still right there. What happened? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Nicole Wray is an R&B singer from Virginia who entered the industry with serious momentum at the tail end of the 90s and into the early 2000s. She first gained attention through her association with Missy Elliott, which immediately positioned her as someone labels and fans expected big things from. In 1998, she appeared on Bulworth, the soundtrack, and soon after signed a major label deal, setting the stage for what looked like a traditional breakout. Her debut album, Make It Hot, arrived in 1998, driven by the Missy Elliott-assisted title track, which performed well and put her firmly on the map. While the music showed growth and versatility, it didn't receive the same push or clarity in direction, and her momentum started to slow. By the mid-2000s, the industry landscape was shifting quickly, especially for female R&B artists. Despite having talent, experience, and major connections, Nicole Wray found herself caught between eras, with expectations changing faster than opportunities. Though she never stopped making music, her early promise wasn't allowed the time or patience to fully develop on a mainstream level. Stunt number 1, the industry expected an immediate star, not development. Nicole Wray wasn't eased into the industry. She got dropped straight into it with expectations that skipped several steps. Having Missy Elliott attached was a gift, but it was also a clock. From the moment her debut arrived, she wasn't treated like a developing artist. She was treated like someone who was supposed to arrive fully formed. Make It Hot did what debut albums are supposed to do: establish presence, introduce a voice, and show potential. But instead of being viewed as a starting point, it was judged like a finished product. When Nicole didn't instantly explode into a consistent hit maker and chart topper, the patience disappeared quickly. That's how the industry works when it decides someone is supposed to be a star right now. The album wasn't bad, it just didn't come with a clear identity or long-term plan behind it. And in that era, female R&B artists weren't given room to stumble or experiment. If the follow-up didn't hit harder than the debut, the belief started fading fast. This is where things quietly shifted. She was being measured by a standard that didn't allow growth. Instead of refining her sound or positioning her better, the industry began tapering off attention. Less urgency, less push, less investment. Once that happens, it's almost impossible to recover momentum, especially for women who weren't already locked in as quote faces of the genre. Nicole never lost the skill, the voice didn't go anywhere, the presence didn't disappear, but the system had already moved on to the next possibility. In a market obsessed with instant results, development is treated like disappointment. Nicole Wray didn't get outworked or outclassed, she simply wasn't given the runway to become what the industry initially bet on, and once that window closed, it never reopened the same way. Stunt number 2, she lost leverage the moment the industry stopped believing. Once the industry stopped believing Nicole Wray was going to turn into a fast return, her leverage disappeared almost instantly. That's the part people don't talk about enough. Talent keeps you respected, but belief is what keeps you prioritized. And once that belief faded, the way she was treated changed. She wasn't positioned as a long-term artist anymore. She was treated like a question mark. At that point, releases stop being events and start feeling like obligations. Budgets get tighter, promotion becomes cautious, and instead of being pushed aggressively, artists are quietly tested to see if they can generate momentum on their own. Most can't because that's not how the system was built to work. For Nicole, this showed up in inconsistency. There was no clear direction, no strong attempt to reintroduce or reframe her. She wasn't rebranded, rebuilt, or protected. She was just left in place. And in music, staying still while everything else moves forward is another form of being removed. This was especially harsh for female R&B artists in the early 2000s. The industry didn't invest in gradual growth or alternative narratives for women. You were either a breakout star, a signature look, or quietly replaceable. Nicole didn't fit neatly in the boxes the market was rewarding at that moment, and instead of adjusting the strategy, the industry adjusted its attention elsewhere. What makes this frustrating is that her situation wasn't uncommon, but outcomes like hers were often framed as personal shortcomings rather than problems with the system. When momentum stalls, the blame usually lands on the artist, even when the infrastructure around them collapses. Nicole Wray didn't suddenly lose relevance, she lost institutional backing, and once that support is gone, even strong records struggle to land. By the time it became clear she needed a reset, the industry had already moved on mentally. This wasn't about her not wanting it badly enough. It was about a system that stopped investing the moment the immediate payoff wasn't obvious and rarely circles back once that decision is made. Stunt number 3, she became too easy to forget in a fast-moving era. The final thing that hurt Nicole Wray's trajectory was how quickly the industry replaced her with newer versions of what it thought it wanted. Once the belief faded and leverage disappeared, she wasn't seen as someone to rebuild, she was seen as someone to move past, and in the early 2000s that happened fast, especially for women. R&B shifted toward younger, more image-driven stars who could be marketed aggressively and repeatedly. Labels weren't interested in giving multiple chances unless the artist was already cemented as, quote, the face. Nicole wasn't framed that way, and once she lost momentum, she faded into the background of an industry obsessed with whoever is next. She also paid the price for not having a singular, undeniable hit that forced the industry to keep her around. Make It Hot got attention, but it didn't anchor her as untouchable. Without a career-defining record that the business could never ignore, her name became easier to move off whiteboards and priority lists. There was also no strong narrative protecting her. Other artists survived quieter periods because they were positioned as specialists, innovators, or cultural figures. Nicole wasn't given any of those labels. She was left floating between sounds, eras, and expectations, talented but undefined. And in a system that thrives off branding, being undefined is a death sentence. What makes this harsh is that Nicole didn't do something wrong to push herself out. She wasn't controversial, she wasn't lazy, she didn't self-destruct publicly. She simply didn't deliver everything immediately, and once that momentum stalled, she was treated as finished rather than building. When the industry moves this fast, artists don't always fall, they get skipped. Opportunity goes to the next name, then the next, then the next, and before you realize it, your seat at the table is gone. Nicole Wray's growth didn't stop because she stopped growing. It stopped because the industry decided waiting wasn't worth it and never slowed long enough to revisit that decision. All in all, Nicole Wray's career didn't stall because she lacked talent or drive. It stalled because the industry stopped believing in her before she even had the chance to grow. She was expected to arrive fully developed, and when she didn't instantly produce back-to-back hits, patience disappeared fast. From there, support thinned out, her leverage vanished, and she slipped into that space where artists aren't pushed or rebuilt, just quietly moved aside. This happened to a lot of women in early 2000s R&B. If you weren't immediately a franchise artist, the industry rarely doubled back to give you another shot. Nicole wasn't protected by branding or narrative, and once her name stopped being a priority, everything else followed. She never lost her voice, she never lost her ability, she lost the machine behind her. Nicole Wray didn't fall off, she was simply moved on from long before she reached her ceiling for these reasons. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.